Hey, everybody, and welcome to Get Paid, the profitable advantage of inclusive diversity. Yeah,
I get it wrong every time.
it's Thursday and it's 11 o'clock. So that means that Deb and I are coming to you with some new information. And so we're women and we think what women want, but it's not that simple, right? We want to talk about as we look at what's happening with COVID and the effect it's having on women, and when we look at the statistics about women in the boardrooms and in the C-suite, it's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten better enough. And so we're going to talk about not only the statistics, but what is it that women really want? So Deb has done so much work in this space. I want to throw it to you, Deb. You know, what is it that women want?
Yep. So let's just, as you said, let's just start with kind of what exists right now and just some of the top line statistics. And you could, there's lots of surveys out there and there's lots of articles that can be read. So I'm just going to give you some statistics on generally what I've been reading, kind of sums it up. And that's first about just pay equity. And, generally speaking, big picture, women make 81 cents in 2020. Women make 81 cents on the dollar for every dollar a man makes, and women of color make 75 cents for every dollar that a man makes. So, without going into tons of detail around that, because it does vary in terms of level and experience and things like that, but that's the big picture. So, generally speaking, that is not good.
Right. There is not start there. If you start there, I mean, so anyone who's taking notes, note this: man, $1, white woman or women in general, 81 cents. And if you further delineate Black women, 75 cents. So we're 25% in the hole from the beginning. And then you get to the broken rung, right? Is that what we're going to talk about? Yeah.
Yep. In terms of the representation piece, and you hit on this, so I'm not going to go into detail on the stats, but basically at the SVP level, I think you talked about 28% were women. At the CEO, at the C-suite, 21% were women, but that's basically white women, and then 3% at the C-suite were Black women. So that broken rung, what happens is that when you're new in your career, there might be 50-50 split, like individual contributors, entry-level jobs are probably 50-50 men and women. And then as things progress and people get promoted and new opportunities, they tend to go to men. And at the beginning, that might be due to bias, unconscious or conscious. People tend to hire in their own likeness, I guess. And if men are in the position of hiring, they may be promoting and hiring more men. But over time, as you progress in your career, what ends up happening is people get promoted then because of the experience that they have. And all of a sudden, women don't have the same experiences. So when the big jobs open up, they're not going to be considered. So what starts out potentially as bias ends up being a skill-based reality, is that I've never been a leader before. I've never done strategy before. I've never had the opportunity to do this job before. So when this job opens up, I'm not going to be considered. So that broken rung has implications all the way up the ladder.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, beyond the broken rung, right? So let's just say you are someone who has moved up, right? And but the offering of experiences often changes as well, right? Where we've seen this in research and as well anecdotally, women are given additional projects, right? So there's a woman tax, right? You have to prove that you are capable of doing things at whatever level you are. So, oh, you did a great job, Deborah. You saved the company $5 million. Good job. Now we're going to give you another project to see if you can save the company $10 million.
And we'll call it a stretch assignment?
Exactly. And it becomes a stretch assignment. And then here comes, Willard. And I know Willard's father. And so, Willard, are we still on for golf on Friday? So it's early morning tea time, 7:30. See you there. You bring the coffee, right? And then next week, Deborah, you're working on your stretch assignment, and Willard's in the office saying, and they're telling him, oh, you know what? You've got such potential. We love working with you, Willard. We're going to make you a vice president. And so those things happen, and those are things that we can't control, right? There's so much talk about women ask for what you want. Don't be afraid to speak up when you're in the room. If you don't have a seat at the table, bring your own chair. But you don't always have that. It's not always that cut and dry, right? And there are tax, like I said, there's the woman tax, there's the black tax, and those are taxes that we pay unconsciously because there are those barriers that are set there. You can't see them. And oftentimes people say they're not there, but they are. And I think that's that balance that women have to deal with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talked about pay inequality, we talked about representation. And the final thing I just want to mention that exists is sort of this personal family tug, I'm going to call it, that women tend to have. Not always. I'm just going to generalize here because I know there are men that are also responsible for their home lives and their children, and I don't want to disparage that in any way, but oftentimes it falls upon the woman, especially when there are, both parents are working. Oftentimes it is the woman that will make whatever sacrifices need to be made to take care of the children, and whether that's if the children are sick or there are school events or other things that happen. And also on the other end of that, even with aging parents, it's often the women that are in the middle of that. And so those personal issues, and it's shown up in the pandemic. I think we both know this. There's articles everywhere about how the pandemic has really taken a toll on women. They're dropping out of the workplace. They're going to part-time. They're not taking promotions because this has been so hard on their whole life that, it becomes an issue.
Well, they're not only not taking promotions, there have been cases where they're not getting offered the promotions because people are thinking, oh, well, Mary's got to take care of her kids, right? We don't know if she's going to be able to give us her all. And what happens is Mary's giving you 150%. She's giving her kids 150%. She's giving her husband 150%, which doesn't add up to 100. And where is Mary in all of this? So those nuances exist as well. It's been really tough on women, and especially on women who aren't in the leadership ranks, right? You can't take away from work. You can't take off. You have to be present. You don't have that leadway of people understanding that you might have to study with your child or whatever it takes. It's really been extremely difficult on women during COVID.
Yeah, especially too if you're a frontline worker, essential worker. If you're in that first entry level, I mean, it definitely gets harder. So now it's okay. We know what the issues are, and how do they get fixed if your company wants to fix them, and what do women want in order to get them fixed?
Right.
So let's just a simple kind of complex answer on pay equality is that it needs to be fixed, meaning that if you are hiring into a job, you should pay what the job is worth, not about the person coming in. If the person has the skills, man, woman, black, white, you pay for the job. And that's important. And then internally, if there's inequities in roles, then you may have to just make it right. Bite the bullet, give women the raises that they deserve, and then let merit take over. Once people are at an equal playing field in terms of their income, then pay more each year for the person who's doing the better job, whoever that is. But at least people are going to be starting from the same point. So that pay equity, it's just not that it's a simple thing or easy thing to do, but you have to fix it in order to fix it.
Right. And the tools aren't equal. So the difference between equity and equal, if you have two people who are at different levels and you give them the same thing, they continue to be at different levels. And I think that's a really important differentiator. Equity is where you give people what they need to bring them to par. So
Yes.
just keep that in mind, to your point of just get them there. Don't just give them what you've given someone else. Get them there. Give them
Get
what
them
you
there.
need to get them on equal fields.
Right. So the second thing is about representation, and there's a couple of ways to do it. The first one is you might have to take a chance internally. So if you have an open job and there aren't women, quote, ready because they haven't been given all of the experiences along the way, then you need to look for the potential in the women and give them the chance to do the job. Train them, mentor them, believe in them, make them feel supported, and give them that job. So that's first if it's internal. If it's external, you're going to have to go and find skilled women and bring them in, intentionally bring them in, make the decision. And just to give you a little bit of a story that just happened to me recently, is I was talking to somebody who I work with personally, with their firm, and they are at least front facing. They're all white men in the company, and they had an opportunity to hire recently, and they made an announcement. I got the email. They hired another white man, and I'm sure very competent and capable, and the people that I work with are very competent and capable, and they do have women back of the house. But I challenged him on it when I spoke to him the other day, and I said, I noticed that you made a hire and you hired another white man. I said, have you thought about hiring a woman? Like, why didn't you take an opportunity? And at first he said, well, we thought about it, but we ended up finding this person and he's perfect. And I'm like, you mean to tell me there are no women who could do that job?
Right.
And as we talked about it, and it was a good conversation. It wasn't an antagonistic conversation, but the more we talked about it, he said to me, he said, you know what, we didn't try to hire a woman. He said there were more men who do that kind of work, and it was easier to find a fit and just hire the person. He said when we didn't do it purposefully and we didn't do it proactively. And we talked about it, and I said, look, if I were looking for your services again, I mean, I'm very happy with working with you and we've worked together for years, but if I was looking again, I would be looking for a diverse firm. And I think that you should consider that in your next hire. And he agreed. So there was no disagreement there, but he acknowledged that they didn't have to work as hard to hire another white man.
Well, and here's the thing, of course he agreed because he'd already done it. Like, what was he going to say? Oh, no, I don't know. But here's what I talk to my clients about all the time. If you don't have a pipeline that you have intentionally filled with the best talent, and I want to say that again, the best talent, diverse talent pool with the best talent, then when those openings come up and you want to fill them quickly, you are going to go to your circle. Whatever you're going to go there because you can fill it very quickly that way because there's no intention there. It's just like, oh, I have this feel. I know so-and-so, such and such's brother or son, or, hey, do you know someone? And you're going to know someone who's in your circle. And generally your circle looks like you. Your circles are reflective of you. So to be proactive, and like I said, I work with my clients on this. Let's create a pipeline. And you can interview people as it's convenient, knowing that I don't have a role right now, but I want to know great people who are in this space. And that way, when it's time to interview or time to fill a position, it's very easy to check and say, oh, I have some people and I have a diverse pool to choose from, because there's diversity in every space. There are really qualified people. And the flip side of that often is, oh, well, if I hire a woman, is she going to be the best person for the job, or am I just hiring the woman? Right? Or if I hire the diverse candidate, are they the best person for the job, or are they just diverse? The best person is the best person.
Yeah, and the more people you interview who are different, the less it becomes the only one, to our other points. If you're interviewing lots of women and lots of people of color, you're going to know who's qualified and who's not qualified.
That's exactly
And
right.
it won't be a big surprise, or it won't be this big decision, because you're just used to interviewing all kinds of people and understanding who the best person is. And it just takes more experience doing that.
That's right. So Deb, what's the bottom line this week? What do women want?
Well, one last thing before we get to the bottom line, and just one last thing to say, and that's just around, from a cultural standpoint, what women want is to make sure that companies at least own who they are. So if women, because of their family needs, want some flexibility, maybe don't want less face time, but want to be able to do their work when they can also work with their kids, companies need to own that. So when you're interviewing women for jobs, whether it's promotions or from externally, be honest about what your company expects. If you expect a 24/7 answer, if you expect 12 hours at a desk, if you expect lack of flexibility in any kind of scheduling, then be honest about it. So that way, women, or anybody for that matter, can make the decision whether that environment is right for them. And on the other hand, if your company is really great about supporting women and supporting families and supporting balance, then make that a selling point, because a lot of times people wonder about that and they don't know how to ask because they don't want to be judged for like not wanting to work hard or asking what's important about culture. Own it, say it. So I just wanted to say that.
And that's really important. That's really important. Just put it out there. Who are you? And put it out there and be proud of it.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so the bottom line today is, if you want to make changes in your company, then you have to be proactive, and you have to think about hiring women, make it a thought process, be proactive, put a plan together, and just do it.
Just do it. I love that. Just do it. So this is our last session for 2020. It's been great. I'm so excited. Can't wait to 2021 to see what we get accomplished with Get Paid. But we want to wish everyone a safe and a blessed and enjoyable time with the people you love. And safe is the word. So if that means that you're with them via Zoom, right? Just be safe. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and find a new way to express love. And maybe by 2021, we'll be able to actually hug those people that we love, and have those big dinners and gatherings again. But let's just be safe and have a wonderful holiday. And when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation about what women want. When we come back in January, we're going to talk about, what do Black women want? Because in all of our survey and research, and we are at the bottom. We are treated disproportionately, unfairly, and you don't see us represented at every level. And that is a problem. It's a big problem. And so we're going to talk about that when we come back in January.
Yep. So everyone have a great new year. Hopefully it will be 2021 will be better than 2020. We're excited to see what the new year brings, and we're excited to be with you again, and have a great new year. And Kimberly, you have a great holiday.
You too, Deb. We'll be talking.
All right. Yes, we will.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.